Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Writers Chat. We are so glad you're with us today. This is the place writers like to gather. We talk about all things writing for writers and by writers. And we have one of our own today, and one of our favorites to present. And with Rhonda's with us today. So welcome, Rhonda. And I'm going to do a quick intro and we're going to turn it over to you. And we're going to talk about WordPress themes and stuff, right? WordPress. Yeah. That way. And she'll give us some instructions. She's got some things to share with us. And sort of our format for today is that we're going to let her present and then we'll have questions at the end. That way we'll watch the questions. So be sure to put your questions in the chat as you progress along. And so we're glad to have Rhonda. And a little background, I tell you, every writer needs a friend that's got some tech knowledge. This is not my expertise. I know it's not the expertise of a lot of you. And Rhonda has been so wonderful sharing us a lot of tips over the last couple of years. So we're glad to have her back with us. You gotta listen to her newest bio. Remember, we've always said when we read these bios of our guests, these are teaching moments. And listen to this. Rhonda Dragomir is a multimedia creative. Now, I'm going to read that one more time. A multimedia creative. Isn't that a great label? Yes. Think about that. Can you come up with one or two words? Oh, wait. Okay, that's enough. Who treasures her fairy tale life in central Kentucky, insisting her home is a castle, even if her prince refuses to dig a moat. Don't you love the humor in that? It's probably a lot of truth too, right, Rhonda?
Oh yeah, I've got him digging right now.
I love it. I love it. Well, anyway, she has published works in several anthologies and periodicals, along with numerous Bible studies used weekly by more than 10,000 women around the world. And she is an award-winning author too. So we are really proud of her. And thank you for being with us and sharing with us today. So we will turn it over to you, Rhonda, and we'll kind of stay around, but we'll let you, I know you're going to screen share and you give us some instructions for today.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I have to say, Jean, I stole a little bit of that bio from Vicki Duerstock. So imitation is flattery, right? And I loved her bio. And there were certain elements of that really appealed to me. And that's my new bio. I write historical romance for those of you that don't know. So there's the fairy tale and castles. If you visit my Instagram, you'll see that I'm trying to brand myself that way as I advance in my writing career. And I'm so happy to be here today. Writers Chat has been one of the most important things I have done for my career, attending Writers Chat. The connections I've made, the information I have learned, and all of it is free. And I could charge a whole lot of money for the class I'm going to teach for you today for free. And you can go back through the Writers Chat archives and look at classes by different people that you would pay a lot of money to attend a conference and listen to these high quality people. So that's my Writers Chat advertisement and endorsement for today. I love Writers Chat. I will say in the very beginning, the very first comment in the chat, there's a link to a handout. I've put it on my website that you can download it for free. And that will contain a lot of notes and instructions about what I'm going to do today. Now, what I would most like for you to do if you're attending this class today is just watch. Don't take notes, just watch. I guarantee you when we're done, you're going to want to go back and watch again. Because I'm zooming, from literally zooming from 0 to 100 in about 6.2 seconds, because there is so much to learn about WordPress. You may say, well, why should I even care about WordPress? How many of you, just use your little activity thing, already have a website? Anybody want to raise their hand and say, I already have a website? Oh, okay, I'm freaking you out. Sherry Lynn has a website, Janice, okay. How many of you do your website yourself? I will say learning to WordPress and building your own website will save you hundreds of dollars. I'd rather invest my money in going to conferences and training on other things and not pay someone else to do my website, because it's not hard to do yourself. I'm going to show you that today. So I encourage you, learn WordPress. I'm going to give you just a basic tour. Today there are far too many ways to customize your website that I could demonstrate today. We're just doing a very basic entry-level course on what WordPress is and why you should learn to use WordPress. So that being said, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to dive right in. I am showing you, somebody tell me that you can see my little WordPress screen here. I have logged in directly to my dashboard. Now, let me just say, before you start even designing your website, there are some things you need to do. And quickly, I'm going to review what they are. You have to have a web hosting company. You have to have purchased web hosting. And I'm going to say again, do not go to WordPress.com. .com means business. .com. The .com site for WordPress, you can buy hosting, but you will pay more and have limited features. And they made me angry, and I told them I was always going to tell everybody that. So I'm telling everybody that. Find a good web host. I recommend HostGator. I've used them. Bluehost is another great one. So, and there are several out there that people use. So you've chosen a web hosting company and you have your web hosting package. You've installed WordPress. WordPress has to be installed on your website package, and that is an easy thing to do. Any reputable web host company will have usually a one-button express install WordPress on my website, and this is done through something called the control panel. What you see on my page right now is called the WordPress Dashboard, and that is different from your control panel. Control panel says how long your domain is registered, what kind of web hosting you have, how much space you have on your server. It's all about your web hosting account. The WordPress administrative dashboard is where you go to design your site, and that's where we're going to spend our time today. So you, in your preparation, you have a web host, you've installed WordPress, you have a general idea of what you want to say and what you want it to look like. So you've gathered images. I did an entire class on Writer's Chat about images. I recommend before you build your website, you go and watch that again to help you develop some good images that are licensed and ready to be put on your website. I recommend finding a host image, a general image that for your banner, and from that you choose your color scheme. There's another Writer's Chat presentation on colors that Jan Gardner and I did, and that's very important to know what colors you want and how to develop a color theme. If you don't know how to do that, yeah.
Would you make your page bigger on your screen? We see a lot of your background. I mean, the whole web browser, if you can just drag it bigger would be fantastic.
I am trying to see all of you too, but I will make it a little bigger here. How's that?
Oh, okay, thank you. Beautiful.
Okay. So you have mapped out in advance the general pages that you want to add. I recommend all authors have at least one that's kind of your welcome page or your home page, an about page, and a contact page. Those three for sure. You can add other pages as you get inspiration while you design your site. So to log in, you'll see here, I hope you can see my cursor. I'm on my own website. I've logged into my dashboard at rhondadragomir.com/wp-admin. That is standard for all WordPress logins. So if you want to know, hey, I don't know how to log in, you go to your website domain and you type a /wp-admin will get you in to your dashboard. So here we are. You can create other user profiles. I will tell you here on the left are all these commands. You see them highlight as I come down, right? Down here under users, all users, you'll see a place where if you're working with someone like me who is a developer, you can add them as users. And I've done this with a couple clients I've had. to add me as a user so I can help them. But that's where you are. That's where your roles and information is. Now I'm going to come back up here to the dashboard, and I want to go just first steps. You say, okay, I'm going to build a website, Rhonda. What first steps should I take? And some of this may be review for some of you. I'm going to tell you I'm going to hold questions till the end because I want to try to get through the material that I've planned for today. But the first thing you want to do is come down here to General Settings. You see this that says Settings, and then here's a pop-out menu that says General. And this is where you set your time zone and so forth. You want people to know what time zone you're in and for it to show the proper connections. So here's my WordPress URL, my site address, what my administrator email is, what language I'm in. Some of you, if Isabel was watching, this is where you would change it to French. Then I'm told her what time zone I'm in. And this makes a difference. It shows too how the dates show up, because in different sections of the world, they do the date in different ways. So this is where you do your general settings, what time it is in your time zone, and so forth. I recommend, and here's an important thing, the default for WordPress is your week starts on Monday. Well, I want my week to start on Sunday. So you can see that I have changed this. All right. So you go into your settings. Then you want to go into your general settings. You want to know what your URL is. All right. Everybody knows that the URL is like the address where your site is found. So I want you to go into settings, and you may not have done this, but I want you to look at permalinks. Okay, settings and permalinks. And like I said, these instructions are in my handout. The default for WordPress does a weird thing. I want my blogs to just be named like my blog. I don't want a big complicated thing. So you see here, I've chosen my settings instead of the plain setting, like it would show on, this is what shows on the address bar when people look at it. Page 1, 2, 3. No, I don't really want that. I don't want the day and time. None of that. I just want the plain old post name. So if you go to my blog and you're searching for one of my posts, this is what you will find. I will tell you that is not the default setting, but it's a setting that I recommend, that your permalinks be set so that your post name, when you post a blog, is what is seen on the address, on the URL. I also here in settings, I can set what parameters I want for discussion. How many of you know discussion on your website is a very important setting? Very important setting. You don't want people to just log in and be able to say whatever they want, because you know in this day and age, that's not a good thing. So here's my default post settings. The comment author must fill out their name and email. I require that because I don't want spammers. I will automatically code, but the most important thing is before a comment appears, I want to be able to moderate that comment. So I have settings here. This is where you set them on discussion, how I want privacy and security on the comments on my blog. So I want to, and I can type in here words that I don't want people to use, you know, automatically, but basically the setting I've chosen is that I want to be able to moderate any comment that appears on my blog. You also here will want under settings to choose a theme. So your theme choice is important, and it is not here under settings. It is actually up here under appearance. And I'm going in the order in which you would organize and execute commands. I'm not going line by line explaining every item on that dashboard. This is a different logical process where I'm going logically in the order in which you would perform these tasks. So the other thing, I've set my discussion settings. I want to come into here and to themes. Now let me talk to you for a minute about themes. Everybody has a favorite theme, all right? Everybody and his brother has a favorite theme. Some of them are beautiful, some of them are not, some of them are harder to work with than others. Some of them now your theme will bring in certain defaults for fonts and colors and things that can be kind of tough sometimes. The theme that I recommend is called Ocean WP. And the reason I did that is because I watched some videos on building a website. And you've heard me mention this before. It's tyler.com, Tyler.com. And he has instructional videos telling you how to build a website step by step. And this is the theme he uses. So Rhonda's being a good follower. She's using the theme he uses. I will tell you, when I have worked with other themes, with other authors, and using a different theme, I get confused. One thing that I like is to learn something that I know and stick with it unless somebody absolutely blows me out of the boat. I'm rowing my little boat the way I know how to row, unless, you know, a shark comes or a whale eats my boat or something, and I have to move. But I do like the Ocean WP theme. It has some additional plugins and things that make it work nicely. If you have a theme to recommend, you can put it in the chat and I will let folks do that. But I've chosen the theme under Appearance and Themes. Then you see here under Appearance, I can customize this theme a little bit. So I'm going to choose, some of you have said, you know, I don't like that plain old white background that you see on everybody's website. I want something really cool. Okay, now here I'm getting a preview of what my theme looks like. That is not actually what my page looks like. But I don't know if you can see it. I've got this little textured like parchment paper background. I will say, please choose something simple. Simple is elegant. Busy is confused and chaotic. Okay, to find these, it's called tile, T-I-L-E, background pictures. And what they do is they repeat and they're seamless so that it looks just like one big image. If you do use a busy background, I recommend that you make all of your boxes inside your website have a plain background so your text shows up against it. But to choose a background, you go into Appearance, Customize, and then you come in here to General Options and General Styling. Now, there's a lot here that I'm not going to explain. All right, you're going to have to learn that on your own. But I'm doing my best to explain a few simple things that will help you. And you see down here, I have site background, and I have chosen this background image. All right, I could change the image if I wanted to, and it would change what's on the background behind everything. So if you want to get rid of that dull, boring white background, you want to change to a color. You would change to a color here, selecting your color. You could change to a background image. And again, to find these images, get on Google, search seamless background images. Seamless background images. Okay, so that's what I did first. I like to think about design and starting from the back layer and building up to the front. To me, that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to do it any other way. So the very first background layer is a color or an image that gives you a texture on the back of your site. So I am now going to go back here to my dashboard. I clicked on the X and get on my dashboard, and I'm here under Appearance. All right. So I did General Styling, and here I'm going to come in here again. I'm going to show you how to get into it. Appearance and Customize. And by the way, this is the way I put the commands in my handout. So you can find these. Appearance and Customize, and General Options down here. I can choose on General Styling, the same place. I can choose my link colors. This is where I also chose my background. I can choose what color I want my links to be. And you say, Rhonda, I don't know what color I want my links to be. Well, you should make yourself something called a style sheet. And I make my style sheet. I say what fonts I'm using and what size for headers, for text. I say what style, what colors I'm using. And again, I highly recommend that teaching we already did on colors to help me develop a color scheme for my site. Then I come in here, I say, well, I don't want my my color to be this color. I want it to be, let me scroll down here. You can, if I say I don't want that one, I can drag this guy around, or it should give me an option. And I will tell you right now, this booger isn't going to do it today, but where I can type in the hex code, I knew that was going to happen. Oh, here it is. I can type in a hex code for a new color. And so you see here, can you see what I'm doing? Somebody say yes.
Yes.
D9, E2, E8. Okay, that's the color I've chosen for a demonstration I'm going to use today. Okay, that's how I would do it. And then you have to click publish. You can do this all day long. If you don't click publish, it's not going to change. All right, believe me, I have been to that rodeo and it is a little too exciting for me. All right, so general styling is where you set your colors for your links. I will tell you, I'm going to recommend some plugins. Some plugins will override these settings. So you can't always be sure that you're going to get the color you thought you were going to get. And some plugins interfere with these color and general things. I also will encourage you under general styling, general settings, to look at your typography. I can't find it right now. Okay, here we go. It warned me that I didn't publish, by the way, which many times I've said, thank you so much. I really appreciate you warning me that I was about to exit without saving my changes. All right, so under appearance and customize. And once you're in here, you can go where you're going. Typography. It will let me set my general typeface. Okay, and hang on here. General. Okay, that's not where you go. Because that's just telling me I want English. Okay, here for the body. I recommend Lotto. Some people use Roboto. I will tell you a little bit about fonts and your basic boxes. You want a sans serif font. Times New Roman has the little, dots and squiggles on it that make it a serif font. The best reading on the website is a sans serif font. I recommend Lotto. I've seen people use Roboto. You can even use Arial, whatever. All right, and this is where you set typography commands. So now that's just kind of getting set up. What do I want my site to look like, right? So the little X here takes me back to my dashboard. Now, I've got a command for posts, and I'm not even talking today about blog posts, but if you want to put in a post, this is where you do it, a post on your blog. We're going to talk today about pages. When I click on my all pages commands, and don't freak out, I've got a lot of pages. All right. This tells me what my pages are on my website. And my website has two real identities. It has my identity as a writer. It also has my identity as a graphic designer and technical, website design. So if you go onto my website, there's a tab called Dragomir Group, and there's a whole different menu and a whole different, that's advanced function. Okay, that's why I have so many pages. But you see here, I have an about page, I have a blog page, I have a page about classes. This is where you find the page, you find the status of the page, is it published or not, who's the author, where there are any comments on that page. So that's just shows me this. And I'm coming back here because God willing, we're going to have time. I'm going to create a page and just show you how easy that is to do. So that's the pages command. Here you see the media library. Guess what you find in the media library? Somebody say so. Somebody who's not muted. What do you find in the media library? Media. I was faster than all of you. Faster than you.
Take a moment to end. Yeah, take a moment to unmute.
You find media, both pictures and files. Okay, and you see here, don't freak out, the pictures and files, that are on my website, right? And I've uploaded a couple of new ones for us to use today. But if I want to add a picture to the library so I can use it later, this is where I add it. I'm going to show you an easier way to do that when we're designing our page. If I want to upload something, add new, I just select a file down here. Here's all, okay, here, we're going to just put this bagpiper guy on into my media library. Zoom, there he is. All right, so he's ready to use now. And I don't know that I've used that on my website, but there he is in case I want to use it. So that it's just that simple to upload media into your file. Now, I'm thinking I'm going to show you something else about media later on. So one of the things I will tell you is not all pictures are created equal. They're not all the same size. And since they're not all the same size, you can put the picture into a box and it comes out looking completely wrong. So we're going to talk about picture dimensions in just a minute. But that's where you upload your pictures, is into the media library. Now, I want to talk before we design a page, and I'm making really good time. I'm so happy about that. I want to talk to you about plugins. Plugins are the reason to love WordPress. They are the reason to hate WordPress.com and some other providers, because in order for you to use these plugins, you have to pay extra. Well, no, I go to HostGator. I don't have to pay extra to install and use these plugins. And I want to recommend, I'm going to talk through a couple of these to you, okay? The first one I recommend is called Classic Editor. WordPress came out with an update that was a dud. Their administrative interface, those little programming people, they worked on it so hard. They launched it and everybody's, I'm lost. I don't know about you, but I hate that. When I love a program and I use a program and I know where all the commands are, and then they go kaflooey and I don't know, that's a real word, and I don't know where they went, I hate that. So what I did is I came back to this Classic Editor, which for a beginner like me, and folks, I still consider myself a beginner. For a beginner like me, it just makes the commands easier to find. So I do recommend the Classic Editor. It changes the interface of the page and how you see it. I also established and installed something called Duplicate Page. I'm going alphabetically here instead of the way it is on your handout, because sometimes the fastest way for me to make a new page is duplicate an old one. I'm going to show you how to do that. Duplicate an old one and edit it, right? Because then it's got all the settings already that I want to use. And that's the easiest way to do Duplicate Page. I use the Elementor plugin, and I am an Elementor cheerleader. I love Elementor. The reason I do is because it's called a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get when you're working with Elementor. And when I'm doing something, I need to see how it's going to actually look on the page. And Elementor is a click and drag, easy way of editing and building web pages. If my friend Josh was here, he would be advocating Divi. He's a Divi guy, okay? And there are a couple of good ones when you're talking about programs that help you build a page. I love Elementor. They have great tutorials. It's very intuitive, at least if your intuition is like mine. It seems very simple and logical to use. I also recommend MailPoet. Those of you, and I have not finished my transition yet, but those of you that have a mailing list and you want to build your email list, which by the way is what you should do with your website, build an email list, use MailPoet. It is free. I know the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference just transitioned to MailPoet. They're using the free version, and that is going very well for them. I use, because I have the Ocean theme, I use a plugin called Ocean Extra. And if you choose the Ocean theme, do install the Ocean Extra. I also recommend this really simple SSL. Most web hosts will offer you a free generic security certificate. And in order to activate that security certificate, there are certain steps you have to take. If you don't know that steps, you need a plugin like this really simple SSL to guide you through in enabling that security certificate and making it work on your site. I also recommend Updraft. Updraft is a way of backing up. Do you know you can lose everything? And I do mean everything if you don't back up your site. And Updraft Plus will let you back it up either on your server with your web host. It'll let you, I don't always trust everybody. I have a trust issue. So I back up my website to my computer. I have a big external hard drive with lots of storage plugged in, and my Updraft Plus files come right through to my computer. That way, if HostGator, went poof and they're not there, I've got my website and I don't have to rebuild it. I've got my website on my computer. I also like WP Forms. It's free. It is what you would do to make your contact form. And let me just say, for security and privacy reasons, you do not want to list your email easily. And if you use a form, you can have them fill out a form, and when they click send, the internal setting is there to go to your email. Because if you don't do that and your email address shows up anywhere on your website, you will get spammed, spam until you can't eat any more spam. Okay, so do not ever put your email address on your site in a public place. Use a form, and WP Forms, Lite, free, all of these that I've they have pro versions, but I use the free version on all of these plugins. Now, it is 11:33. I want to quickly go through with you how to design a page. All right, so I'm going back here to all pages. I told you the easiest way for me is to duplicate a page. So I tested this morning and it worked. So let's hope that it works now. Because I installed Duplicate Page plugin, I have just duplicate this, click, and there it is. It's named the same thing because I duplicated it, right? And it shows that it's a draft. It's already enabled to work with Elementor. So all I do is I'm going to edit this page if you were doing this, and I'm going to tell, I don't want it to be about. I want it to be, I'm just going to call it a page that I don't have, test, okay? And when I come out of there and I click edit, down in here, I'm going to just say test. That's the permalink, right? And then I'm going to say, okay. And now this is my new page. And right over here, I can publish it. You say, Rhonda, I don't want anybody to see it yet. Don't worry. Nobody will see it until you put it in the menu, okay? So now I've created this new page and I want to edit it. You see my big green button with Elementor. And it's thinking about whether it wants to give me permission to edit that page. And it's thinking extra hard about that. So, this is where I want to sing, a song or something, because it's loading it up today. All right, here's my about page. Dale and I, that's my husband, isn't he cute? We were sitting on a caterpillar in a kid's playground. That's why we're both grinning like nuts. And I've got horses here. I'm about to redo this. I need to come down in size a little bit here so you can see the whole page. All right. And I hope that's going to be big enough for you to see. So this is my about page. It doesn't have the title on it right now. But what I'm going to do is start from scratch. So I'm just going to delete that. And this is what it would look like. You see my background. You see this little box. This little box basically says, what do you want to do? And so I'm like, I want to build a page. So here's Elementor, my commands. I can tell it, I want a heading, and just click and drag the heading in there. And what do I want the heading to say? Learn about me. This is really stupid, but you see, I can center that text, And I can say, oh, that's too little. Now listen, I'm going to teach you about boxes. I have 3 commands here in Elementor. Content, which is where it tells me what I want it to say. Style, which tells me how I want it to look, all right? And see how tiny that is? If that was really a heading, I would come in here. I like the color already, but that's where I would change the color if I wanted to. Typography, click on the little editing pencil. And I've chosen, I love the Alex brush font, right? But I need it bigger. Look here, it says size. Can you all see this? Somebody say yes.
I can, yes.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we can see it.
Can you see how I just slide that little slider and it gets bigger or littler, right? I can make it thinner or fatter with no calories involved, right? Just by the weight. I've got different things here. I can decorate it. I've got line height, letter spacing, all of that here under the typography command. I can say, well, I really like that, but you know what? I want a shadow. One click, there's a shadow. Now, personally, I just think that muddies the look a little bit. So I would take out a lot of the blur. And this is where I have a horizontal. See it? Woo! You can really make people go blind. All right, so you can decide where you want it to be and all of that under the shadow command. And you may say, oh, I like this, but I want a little darker. You can just slide this little thing and make that shadow darker. You can really make people need their glasses, okay? So I tend to keep things pretty simple, but I will show you a shadow here in a minute. All right, so there's my header. And I'm like, well, I really like that. Advanced, I want to talk to you something about the advanced command here. I'm still editing this little title. The margin is what's outside the box. Padding is inside the box. There might be time, I worked with a client just earlier this week whose margins were such that the type was set right on the edge. She had a background in her box and it looked silly. Okay, so the margin, watch when I put, now these are all linked together. If I say I want 20 pixels for the margin, do you see what it did? Mm-hmm. It put a margin above and below the text. If I want padding for the text, let's just say 50. Okay, it is padding it inside. All right, so the margin and the padding, and you might say, well, I don't want it padded all the way around. You just use this command here and break it. And I'm going to take this back to 0, and this to 0, and this to 0, and now it's just padded on the top. Do you see that within my box? Yeah. This is really important, I will say, using this advanced tab, because people were like, I can't get it to line up. It will just not line up the way I want it to do. Usually, and you know, that word is usually, it has to do with the padding or the margin. And, you know, I can choose whether this is aligned left or right here on the content tab, right? It can be aligned left, it can be aligned right, it can be justified, which doesn't really work here, or centered, right? So all of those commands are important when you're doing text boxes. Now I've got this, learn about me. I want something else here. One of the things you can do is come back here. You'll see me click on this. I'm sorry, on this. Click the wrong place. Imagine that. Now I can say, oh, I want an image. All right, I drag an image here. It says choose the image. Guess where I go to choose my image? Somebody say real loud.
Media library.
Media library. Thank you. Okay, so I can say I want to choose this image. Okay, and insert it. That is just that easy. Now, you see there's a wide margin out here and a wide margin out here, and this text isn't on top of this. And I'm like, that's an advanced command. I sure wish I could do that. Well, let me show you something else. You can build your website just using those. That's what I call blocks, okay? But one of the wonderful things about Elementor is it lets you use, see, this is just a plus. This lets me use a template. Now, I am a little ticked off with these people. I stay ticked off a lot, because I want everything. I want it now and I want it free. So a lot of these are pro. If you buy Elementor Pro, you get these advanced templates. Even these templates, they make you now make an Elementor profile login. You know, everybody wants you in one way or another. I'm getting around those folks because I'm sending you to Tyler.com, and his images, his templates are free. Let me just show you here. This is his website, and I can find here these. I'm doing a header now, headers and heroes. I can actually see a visual image of what they look like, and I can choose one, download the file, which is called a JSON file, download it onto my computer, and then when I'm here on my, page, I can tell I want this 007, the hero image with the text and contact information, and I can insert it. And I'm going to let it import the settings. Yes. There it is. Can you see it?
Mhm.
Now, it's ugly. Right? It's not something I would ever use on my site. I'm going to see, as I stretch this out, that image just gets bigger and bigger. So I don't want a big old clock. That doesn't say anything about me. On these blocks, you can add a section. You can edit this section, or you can delete the whole section, all right, which I've done a time or two. So now I'm going to edit this section. And does anybody remember now what I would do to get that picture? I've got layout, I've got style, and I've got advanced. Edit the section. It's under style, and there it is, the ugly picture. I'm going to choose an image from my media library, and I'm going to put it in there. Ta-da! It already looks more like me, right?
Wow.
But now I'm saying coming soon. That's not what I want it to say. I want to edit it. Look at this little pencil here. Click on that. Edit the heading, and it's back here in layout. No, actually, listen. Right click on the pencil. I was just clicking it. Right click, edit heading. It gives me different commands. Okay. So here's where it says coming soon. I'm going to say my name, and I'm like, oh, ugly font, ugly color. Do you remember where I go? I've already told you. Style.
Yeah.
Text color. And I'm going to type in that text color that I've already chosen. It's D9E2E8. All right. That's already better. Enter. All right. So I've chosen this light blue color because I wanted to contrast against what's behind it, right? And this is a place where I really think a text shadow would look nice. I don't know if you can see that, what it did. It really made it look nice. And I would even take it a little more of a shadow. This is all design choices. You are the boss, to make my name stand out. Do you see? And then I really don't like that font. I told you I've chosen my fonts already for my website. And instead of Anton, I just type in Alex. If you don't see what I do, go back and watch the replay. Alex Brush, right there it is. Boom. I've got a much prettier font. I can already tell you, I get commands here for letter spacing. I want to space it out a little bit, and there it goes. Because I like, this is a script font, and I want the thingies to line up, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't really want 2 lines. So what do I have to do? I have to make my text smaller to fit into that box. Boom, there it goes. That was just the slider on size. All right. Then I come in, here's another box here. There's a pencil, right click, edit the text editor. I'm going to say author, speaker, and from my bio, multimedia creative. In case you couldn't figure that out, I can't type and talk at the same time. All right, so, but I don't like that style. It's just white. Once again, come over here to style. I'm going to leave it white. I like the white. But in the typography, I'm going to choose one of my fonts that I like a lot is called Cinzel. And Cinzel will automatically make it uppercase, right? And it's the only thing that it comes. I think that's too small. I can make it fatter. Okay. So you can see it a little better just by changing the weight. All right, now this box, and this automatically came. Look at the animation that's already there. That's very cool. And I didn't do that. Tyler did that. Okay. So I love him. I don't even know him, but I love him. So here again, right click on this pencil. It'll let me edit these icons where I can actually put my URL for my Facebook account. See, if I'm editing this guy, I can choose a different icon if I want. I can change the background color of these images. I would, because it's that kind of tealy green. And I've got my picture. I want it to match my picture. So it should have more of an olive green, right? So here where it says official color, I can give it a custom color. And the primary color right now is that I've got this 3C461D, which is this color, and I'm going to enter. I'm going to say, okay, I don't know if this is going to work. All right. Yeah, it did. But now guess what? Because it's dark, I'd have to go back and choose that text color and make it white. Okay, I'm not going to do that. But what I'm showing you is how I can take someone else's template. From there, start building something that's beautiful for me. So here's where you can format hyperlinks. You see on my web page. I'll just go to my web page really quickly here and show you. All of these are Tyler. This is a JSON from him. This is another one from him. And you see I put in the background a picture and I layered over it a different background color that matches my color theme. And there's a link to the trailer that I made. So when it comes to design, you have a lot of choices to make. But I hope you see from me doing this, this is not hard, right? You might have to watch a tutorial a couple of times. Now, let me tell you something about Tyler's tutorials. They can get out of date really quickly because WordPress pushes through updates regularly. And by the way, I do not let WordPress automatically update because sometimes it messes with my site. I wait, I get a notice, and then I'll go in and look at what the update is and do it myself, back up my site, and then do that update with Elementor and with WordPress, right? Because they can dramatically change. So you say, okay, Rhonda, here we're going to update. I want to see what that looks like. What does that look like on the out on the web, right? So I'm going to come and exit out to the dashboard. And here's my page that says test. And I want to preview it over there on the right. So now it throws it out on the internet and it lets me see what I've done. Okay? And obviously I still have work to do. I would get rid of this crazy email box because I wouldn't ever put that. And actually I would never start out with a title at the top. I was just demonstrating that. And you see here again on my own website, I've chosen a pretty small picture there and I've made it so would you like to know how to do that? I have a few minutes. I can show you how to do that. To make a picture stick, right? So over here, I'm going to go back to this page. And I'm talking 90 miles an hour. You're going to have to watch the replay to get all of it.
Fine.
But here, I'm going to edit this section again. I'm going to go back where I put that picture there. See, here's where I put my image. It is center. I can change it. And by the way, I chose that according to the rule of 3. If you watch my image workshop, that there's different sections of this picture. So I have a blank spot to put my text. The attachment, if I change this from the default to fixed, it changes it a little bit, but look what happens then. That's what will happen out on my page. I'm going to update this and go back to my preview. Now watch. Little stinker pot is not going to do it. That's because I have to refresh the page. Refresh. Now, look, my text moves, but the picture is fixed. And if I had more down there, it would scroll right out of that picture. All right. One more thing, and then I'll take questions. So now I've got my page. I'm back here. I'm getting out of Elementor into my general dashboard just as quickly as I can. And you say, okay, nobody sees anything because I haven't established a menu. Yeah, your page has to have a menu. So you come in here under Appearance to Menus, and I'm just going to show you the menu page that I have on my site right now. I'm not going to change it around, but here it says there are some invalid elements on my page. It didn't like what I did to the About page. All right. But here's the pages, and in order to add them, if I wanted to add test, that's the page I just made, to my menu, I just click Add to Menu. And here it is down at the bottom. Actually, it already added it because I have clicked Automatically Add New Top Level Pages. So when I created the page, it automatically added it to the menu. And I've told it I want it where I want it displayed, right? And so forth. Now, we're not even talking about mobile stuff, but I will tell you on your page, there's a way to see how, on your Pages command, see how it looks on a desktop versus like an iPad and a phone. And you really need to look at that and make those changes. Now it's 11:53. And by the way, I would save the menu if I really wanted to save it. I'm not going to save this menu, okay? In fact, I am going to delete this page off. I'm going to remove it from my menu, and that's how you do it, okay? And if I say, oh, I want this new page, this test page, to be up here somewhere else, you just click and drag it, and you can do that. So I'm not going to save the menu. All right.
All right, why don't we let everybody come back on then and ask any questions that they have. I didn't see a lot of questions in the chat. I don't know whether Randy or Jeannie might have picked up one, except this last one from Charles Huff. Do you have an easy way to create a new website and pull in your years-long blog page? Is it a link to import it to your website app?
Now you're talking, that's an advanced function.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen here real quick.
Yeah, let's do that. And if you need help getting back on, please let us know. If we put you in jail, we want to get you out of jail.
What I will say, Charles, well, someone says there's a plugin for pulling in blog content. Catherine says that. I did not know that. Usually that is a feature. If you were going to migrate a website, I would ask for technical support from my host. Those folks know a lot more than I do. And when it's something as precious as years and years and years of blog posts, you don't want to lose it. Now, I will say, first of all, Charles, I hope you've kept every single blog somewhere on your computer where you know where they are. And a lot of people just write, they go to their blog, they type it all in, they publish it. They don't have it anywhere on their own computer. And I tell you what, that can be a big problem. You want to write your blog in Word or something, save it on your computer, and then cut and paste it when you post.
I just want to say the handout is worth its weight in gold. I've been following along with it, and to go back, because it's something to watch you, but then to go back, this you've invited us to play. I love that. Yeah. Earlier, and I think though she did get one link. I think it was Leslie asked about where do you get your color code hex colors. Do you have a site that you recommend?
Yeah, I will tell you. There's a site called Peloton. Let me write it in here. All right, and now I'm gonna. It didn't like that. Let me find that and I'll get that for you. What I like about Peloton is it will let you. It's a color scheme designer, and it will let you choose different color schemes and suggest colors for you and everything. It will even let you upload an image and go from there. Here's the link. Did that come up as a link? Okay. Peloton. and it will give you those hex codes that you want for those colors. You can also, if you're not as picky as me, I want everything to match exactly. You don't know that about me, do you? If you're not that picky, you can just use that slider. You saw the slider inside and just choose a color you like, right? You don't have to be as picky as me, but I want everything to look the same on every page. Yes, Brandy, yeah. Coolers is also a good recommendation.
Even if you use the slider and find the picture you want, the hex code then shows up. So then,
right.
then you would be able to use it. If
right.
you wrote it down, then you would be able to use it in other places.
And what you just said, write it down, is what I was saying earlier on. For every website I do, I create something called a style sheet,
right,
where it tells me what font, what size, what colors, everything, and all of that. That keeps me straight when I'm designing from page to page. That'll save you a lot of time.
I just finally got around to doing that after all this time we've talked about it. Now I got a little one sheet thing with the fonts, yep. The colors and the hex codes and stuff, and I yep. keep it on my desktop so I could refer to it. But it's been a while since I got to that detail, but I did get that done the last couple
of
weeks.
It's a lot easier to copy and paste it from a document into that field than it is to try to remember what it is. Yeah,
it is. You want to talk, somebody asked about the cost of Elementor. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Free. It's free. The basic version. Now there is a pro version, and until a point in my career, I have not found a need, just a burning need, to use their pro version. I'm sure their salespeople would tell you differently, but just, especially if you're just getting started, just start with the free version. And if you hate it, try something else like Divi or something like that. Yeah. But I don't know why anyone would hate Elementor, but we all have learning and intuition that goes different directions. And so certain things make sense to us and other things don't. Elementor is what makes perfect sense to me. Yeah. Yes, Polly, I will put, you're talking about, Polly, are you talking about the Peloton and Coolers links? I tell you what I really prefer you do is just go back and watch my Writer's Chat presentation on colors, because that was all there. And I demonstrated not just what they were, but how to use them in that colors workshop.
And also, Polly, we'll say the chat. We've put a lot of times, I'm looking at Johnny to be sure that it gets done, but a lot of times on the Writer's Chat members page, there'll be another post where it'll have today's chat in it. So you can pull it right up and get it too. So in case you missed it here.
And just to remind everybody, you know, we do have a YouTube channel and all the Writer's Chat episodes are there. And also they're on the Writer's Chat Facebook page and in the Writer's Chat groups. So you might have to search for it a little bit, but I think if you go to the YouTube channel, it wouldn't be that hard to find. We're actually under Serious Writer. So I don't know exactly how you find it on YouTube. If you just go YouTube and do Writer's Chat, if it would come up, or if you have to do Serious Writer first and it would come up. But that's where they all are, and you can just see them really easily.
It is noon, so let's wrap up this, at least the recording portion. Rhonda, can you stay for a few minutes afterwards?
Yes,
we usually have our little after party. Most of you know that afterwards, and you could come on in and then ask some other questions, and we'll spend a few more minutes. We kind of watch how long we go. But while we're on the recording, first of all, I want to officially thank Rhonda. That was wonderful info. That's the kind of thing we need to see, kind of all as close to hands-on as we can get, you know, on that. And it's just thank you. And like I said, this resource page is just wonderful. So we do appreciate the time and your coming on that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and next week we're excited. We're going to talk about another tool in our toolbox that we need as writers. It's called Query Letters. I think I looked right, and it's going to be Tracy Crump, who is very successful publisher, and so I think we're going to get some real tips on some of the right things to put in those query letters that make it stand out and make a publisher and editor go, ooh, I'm interested in this one. So that'll be next week's Writer's Chat. So and Johnny, Brandy, Jan, anything to wrap us up?
Good.
Watch the replay.
Thank you, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
Great.
Thank you. And we'll see everybody next week on Writer's Chat, 11 o'clock Eastern. Bye, everybody.
Bye.